Okay, friends, let's hit it. It's me, Kirsten, and this is the It's Giving Mystical podcast, the podcast. And this is your podcast for the week ahead, the week of April 10th. April 10th. And we are in this Emperor month. And we are in this Temperance month. And so one of the things that really keeps coming through is last week it came through as kind of subplots or subtext. And with the monthly reading, it came through like different ways of communicating, different languages. So trying to communicate with people with language barriers, and maybe literally, but metaphorically. I'm speaking, and it's like, of course, I know what I'm saying. Do I? And then they're hearing it, but through a very dense filter. There's some way in which we're always miscommunicating with each other. We're always trying to express something. We use this very beautiful but faulty medium of language. And then people are taking that in with their hearts alive, hopefully. And the words mean something to them. But it also lands and comes through this filter of their experience and where have they heard those words before and what do those words mean and how do those words live in their body. And so it's such a faulty thing, communication language. Like it's so, it's actually miraculous that we ever express anything at all. It's miraculous that we're ever really understood at all, right? Language is a system of symbols that we all agree to and that we use to try to communicate things that are the most important to us, the most critical to us. What's in my heart? What do I care about? What do I need? What do I want? What do I want you to know? What do I desire for you? How do I want to help you? How do I want to know you? It's just such a faulty, messy little palette that we work with. And yet we try, right? And yet we try. And so that messaging, it just came through really clearly in March with the Emperor and the Temperance, two incredibly powerful beings, like the energy of earth keeping and the energy of the alchemist and what might become possible and what the materials have the potential to become. I think both so powerful and so beautiful. The energy of the guardian angel, the angelic forces that surround us. These are like big, beautiful energies, material and the spiritual, and they're not quite able to communicate, or they are trying to communicate and it's coming through, again, this very thick filter. And then last week that came through with this idea of pay attention to the subplots. So there's victory, capital V victory, but then there's the small victories. I was in, I told you guys about this on Instagram, I think, but I did something with my trainer. That was a really big deal for me physically. And then I was in yoga yesterday and we were doing something and I was able to do something that I just haven't done before, just like access this posture in a way that I hadn't. And I was so happy. It made me so happy. It was just this confirmation of the way I'm loving my body, caring for my body right now, and how my body's growing and changing, and how the work I'm doing in the physical realm and the work I'm doing in the energetic realm are coming together to make me more at home in my being. It was such a beautiful thing. But I'm saying this to you, and maybe you kind of get what I'm saying, but probably not. It was just something that happened for me, but it was maybe a lowercase victory, but it felt to me so satisfying. I might as well have won an Emmy. Like I might as well have won an award. There was something about it that was just, I see you, Kirsten, and body, I see you, and Ganesh was there. There's just this whole thing happening in this one posture in yoga. This is where I sound like I'm off my rocker. I just have a very rich experience of the moment. But that experience was such a victory for me. And this other thing happened, and I was telling a friend, and it's this very human, bizarre thing that's happening in my life right now, and I can't stop giggling about it. That's a victory. Something that maybe might cause other people anxiety or would have caused a version of me anxiety, now just kind of hits me like delight, hits me like, oh, this wild world we live in, you never know what's going to happen. There's just something really cool about that. So I say all of that because that also was bringing our attention, again, not to these headlines in our life or, the headlines in the news that are just totally devastating. If you read the news, it can completely collapse you. It can completely cripple you. It can freeze you. Talk about your nervous system. Our nervous system is not meant to take in, as an individual, the collective destruction and fear and, just carelessness, but also pointlessness of the violence that exists in our space, always, but particularly right now. And so there's these headlines that are very distracting, even, and again, even in your own life. And then there's all these small side stories, side quests, subplots happening. And the energy last week was like, just notice those little side quest subplots, because there's actually something really rich and juicy in there. There's actually really good information in there about what victory as a heart-centered being might look like. The direction of your life is something that truly satisfies you. My cousin and I, we were getting ready for, she was hosting Easter and we were getting ready, and she's got, 2 toddlers. They are the most precious little beings. She, to me, is the most precious being. She's my baby girl. And now she has these 2 babies. And being in space with them was so chaotic. We got nothing done, and yet everything got done. But her and I were laughing because I have this new idea that I'm going to move to Portugal. Anyone wants to know? Anyone wants to come with me? But I have this new idea about it. And I was telling her, and she woke up the next morning and she was like, Portugal. She's like, I'm feeling it. And I was like, I know, right? And it was just, we were having this moment, her and I. We always joke. This isn't a very nice joke. Maybe I won't tell the joke. But the point is that we love each other deeply. And so there's something about this idea of that moment with her. I haven't had that one-on-one downtime with her in so long because we're both so busy. And it was just like this. And she always says, more of this. And I was like, yes, more of this. That was a victory. No one saw it. It wasn't something that was experienced more widely than her and I and her boys. But there was something about that that's like, oh yeah, I see why this makes my heart happy. I see why this is something that I want to cultivate more of in my life. Okay, so that's enough notes about Kirsten's last week. But what was that like for you? What were the moments in your week where you thought, oh yeah, this is lovely. I want more of this. This is what I'm talking about. This is what my heart is calling out for. There's something really lovely about that. But it's not the obvious thing. It's not the headline thing. It's just this idea of there's more trying to get communicated than you might experience. So it's like someone's speaking to you and you're like, I kind of get you, but then you're not quite, the words aren't matching up, or there's this headline thing that should feel really important, but actually the small moment in yoga felt more important. Okay, so just noticing these, in shamanism we call it like the levels of perception. They're alive right now and they're not telling the same story. And so it's just like, and we're not trying to get into, we want to note, as I say that, I think about, you want to note not getting into a hypervigilance state, not getting into and this came up somewhere, not trying to get someone to be the villain in your plot, or in your story, in your story, giving people the benefit of the doubt, people who deserve it, giving them the benefit of the doubt, really having a sense of everyone moving through something pretty profound right now, pretty fundamentally reordering of what they desire, what they want to harness their will towards, which is the Aries energy, and the world doing that at the same time. But this idea that levels of perception can get us in trouble when we're feeling one thing and the world's presenting another, but we want to believe the under thing. We want to believe the quiet, intuitive thing. And there's something to that. And there's a way, so the way you can feel this in your body is something that feels in alignment. So back to my keyword for 2026, something that feels in alignment. Oh, okay, I'm going to move towards this. I can't quite make a story for it. I can't quite explain to you why. I just know that that's a rich experience for me. Heading in that direction is a rich experience for me. That's a healthy kind of navigating via the levels of perception. The unhealthy one, which your girl is so good at this one, feeling the potential of a situation and moving with the potential of the situation longer than the situation really deserves. So I do this, classically do this with men. Having a sense of who they are in their highest octave, and then putting up with behavior that is not in the highest octave, because I know it's not all that's existing in the moment. And I'm sure you can relate to this, I've gotten myself in trouble with that. It doesn't have to be romantically for you, but like, what's the situation where you see the highest octave and you know that there's a beautiful potential there? And so you put up with kind of subpar behavior or subpar conditions past when you should. There's something beautiful about wanting that for other people, for yourself, for the situation, and being like, I can hold this highest value for it. And then the way that you get reach a tipping point where it's like, oh, I'm so hopeful and feel this in such a beautiful way. And then all of a sudden I'm locked into some dynamic that doesn't feel good for me. So it's easy for me to feel this from a romantic sense, but you might feel this from a work standpoint, from a creative standpoint, from friendships you have, from your family. Like, I know we can be better. And then moving in that direction is beautiful until it's not. And so that's what we want to have discernment around that. We're feeling the world with more sensitivity. The layers of perception are more in contrast. So we're feeling like, oh, there's this, but there's also this. And they both feel really valid and true. And we want to navigate with the truth. We want to navigate with the richness where our heart, our spirit is calling us towards. And we want to make sure that we're not putting ourselves in a different kind of bind because we're holding on to the highest value and ignoring the reality of the situation. And like, again, I do this all the time, but I also recognize myself doing it, which is its own kind of growth, right? And so what dynamic can you maybe recognize that for yourself? And then, so the work becomes all the levels of perception have value. All the levels of perception are telling me something. One, the emperor or the alchemist doesn't get more weight just because it has a different way of moving, just because one feels a little more easy for me to translate and understand. So what we're doing this month is becoming aware of these different levels of perception, or especially this week, because you're going to hear me talk about why, like becoming more aware of these levels of perception and then making sure they all have a seat at the table. They all have something to teach you. Even if one, again, is a little more uncomfortable or a little less your native tongue, there's something important for you to learn there. And what you don't want to do is say, I can feel the contrast between them, and so I'm going to choose one or the other. There's something about this coming together and the allowing of the contrast, the allowing of the paradoxical nature of these two things are different and yet both important and yet both true, holding that in your hands at the same time. Okay, so I tell you all this because the card that we have for this week is the Eight of Wands, which is awesome. I love the Eight of Wands. I love like fresh air and freedom and communication and energy moving, and there's nothing stagnant. This card is the card of freedom. It's the card of orgasm. It's the card of communication. It's the card of messages. It's the card of energy becoming something real. There's something very exciting. It's exciting. The Eight of Wands is, it's so fun to be here. Oh my God, I can't believe what a great story you told me. Oh my God, that guy's so sexy. There's something about it that just has this whoosh of energy, and it's very real. Like it's a will not be denied amount of energy. There's so many interesting things about this card, so it's great energy. What we say about this card just fundamentally is notice whether you think these arrows are taking off or landing. Like that's important. That's going to be a filter with which the energy impacts you this week. The other thing to note is that there's no people on this card, which again comes back to what I'm saying about we want to be fluid with our subjectiveness, meaning this is true and this could also be true. This is true and that doesn't mean that I should move to this. There's just something about the fluidity of perspective and the generosity of perspective. That's where it comes back to. We're all trying to say something real. We just might be saying it with words that may or may not be easily metabolized, easily integrated by the other person. This is definitely a card of communication. I wouldn't say the card, but it's an important one in the tarot around communication, around how things land. And the thing that we say about this card is that it has the energetics of someone shooting a bow and arrow or launching a spear. There's all the, okay, I'm going to exhale and I'm lining up my target and I have all this intention behind it and I've been practicing my skills and all this. And then I pull back and I release it. And the Eight of Wands is the moment where you're watching it fly. You did everything you could do to control where it landed, you did. You tried your best to express this thing in the most precise, effortful, heartfelt way you could. And then it takes off and you have no control over the light and the wind and the I don't know, the physics of it take over. And there's something about allowing you just in this moment of it's this pause where you're like, there it goes, hoping for the best. And you think about this in conversation, and that feels very rich here in conversation. Oh, here's me in words. I throw them out there. And then it's the moment while I watch you receive them. Do you get it? Do you hear me? Do you see me? Can you receive me? And then you're waiting while they metabolize it, and then they come back. And this is, I mean, anyone who's ever had an argument with someone they love knows this feeling. I'm putting it all there, and then it's like a tennis match. And I'm just going to see, can you return it? Are you going to return it? Did you miss it? What's happening? That's the energetics of the conversation. There's this way in which time expands. And the Eight of Wands is just the reminder that you did your best, dude. Sometimes you just do your best and you watch it fly. And there's something about that lack of control. This is why the woman who wrote Tarot and the Tree of Life, I can't think of her name off the top of my head, but she talks about it as the card of orgasm, because he's working so hard, building, and then, oh, best of luck out there. You have no control. There's a way in which you actually actively prepare for a loss of control. You actively work towards a loss of control. And so you can see this in intimacy, you can see this in conversation, you can see this in when you share art or some kind of creative work or some kind of intellectual work with the world. This came up, I'm taking another class with Kim Krantz. I really love her. Her work is really covering this artistic shamanic crossroads, which really just speaks to me. And I love it. And we just did this beautiful exercise where we met the shaman and met the artist, and then we went deeper. And one of the things that my shaman was showing me on the kind of deeper levels was this invitation. Oh, my artist actually, this deeper invitation for my center column to soften. And then we had to do a journal piece or art piece after that call. And the thing that came up for me was, what do you mean soften? Like, what do you mean soften? And it's actually the question I'm living inside right now. And that's my own practice. And my piece that I created from that was called, I have a question for the artist. What do you mean exactly? This is here. Like, we are individuals trying to bridge the gap, trying to come towards each other, trying to connect to each other. And it's like we really never have control over what that's like on the other side. That's the existential loneliness of life, and also the thing that drives us to try harder, to express ourselves more clearly, whether that's in art or words or with our bodies. But there's something really interesting about this space between, and the Eight of Wands always draws our attention to that. This space between me, I am Aries, I want you to know me. And then I put out these things into space or into the world so that you might know me. And then I have no control over how you receive that. I actually couldn't even know it if I wanted to. Sometimes you get glimpses, right? Someone will say something, you'll be like, I didn't say that. And they'll be like, yeah, you did. And you're like, oh, okay. Golden projection, regular projection, shadow projection, whatever. That's the way in which people are seeing who and what they want to see. Really, you have no control over that. And so there's just something interesting about the willingness to play anyway, the willingness to show up at the table and speak your crazy language and just hope for the best. And your willingness to try to clear confusion from your own eyes, clear the projections from your own eyes, to maybe have a chance to see someone a little more clearly, to see someone's heart and efforts and art and words with a little more transparency, but yeah, tenderness, openness, like, oh, show me who you are. And I am willing to just notice that without putting my own layers of meaning on top of it. I'm trying really hard to hear the truth, the heart of you behind your efforts. It's really interesting. And this is something that I'm insanely curious about. This is what I did my graduate work on. I'm insanely curious about why we choose to communicate the story the way that we do, why we take the shape we do. This idea of the story we're telling, determining all of us, all of our existence, the world that we're creating through that story is the heart of what I do. And so for me, this is endlessly interesting. And I just love the idea of all of us becoming a little more aware of that hang time, me expressing hang time, you receiving maybe you got a tenth of what I put out there. Maybe you got 80%. Maybe you took a totally different left turn with it. But there's just something really interesting about that willingness to keep launching the missives, to keep trying to be seen and understood, and keep trying to communicate, and keep trying to see and to understand. There's something really cool about that. And all this to say that, again, maybe you can have an experience this week where you practice a little more vulnerability, a little more faith in the effort at all. Like that I'm going to try to let you know me and see me. I'm going to try to express myself. And then even more beautifully, you can try to just maybe try to see someone else a little more clearly, try to accept what they offer you with a little more lightness, a little more, okay, I'll try to just put my window aside, just in the beautiful, beautiful opportunity to feel someone else's heart, to know someone else's existence a little bit more. There's something very warm, so I pulled some supporting cards and the sun came out, but there's also something a little bit careless and messy and quick, and just don't be too quick to judge what comes. I have a feeling in an Eight of Wands, Knight of Swords supported week, there's just going to be a lot of information coming at you. And again, you're going to be hearing the words, and then you're going to be feeling the intention behind the words, and then you're going to be feeling other things. There's just going to be many layers coming at you at once, and that can feel overwhelming, but I think it's going to feel warm. Like, I think it's going to feel like, ooh, this is different, this is new, and that's going to feel really good. And then there's going to be the opportunity to maybe understand or be understood on a level that you haven't been in a while. And that's going to be exciting. That's going to be exhilarating. There's going to be the sense of like, ooh, more. So that's what I got for you. It's super interesting reading and very interesting. The Eight of Wands can take your breath away. So you just want to notice your breath. Classic advice. If you can give yourself room for a full breath, if you can give yourself room to fully receive. Notice that someone's going to share their words with you and you're going to have an immediate reaction. Like, here's what they're saying, and so this is what I think. And it's a really cool practice this week to let their words sink more deeply into you. So not to react right away to that first impression, but to let the arrows fully land, let the energy fully land, and be like, what else? What else does that do to me? What else do I receive from those words? Oh, there's something really interesting about this. The contrast and the conflict between the layers of perception, and then also the impenetrability of to be known through language, and yet our desire to keep trying, and yet something about the veil getting pulled away a little bit, and maybe there's this opportunity to see, hear, and feel each other a little more differently this week. I don't know. I like it. Something about it feels you feel a little less isolated from this experience, whether it's a little chaotic or overwhelming or inconsistent. There's something about this, oh, I'm seen. I can see. There's something really cool about that. All right, my friends, take really good care this week, and patience for yourself with others, patience with understanding and being understood. It's something's working itself out there. And I think it's worth the effort. I think it's worth the effort and the patience and the play and the generosity and the curiosity available to you. I think there's something really juicy and fun and satisfying underneath that. So good luck out there. Lots of love. Bye.